tonight. Bigotry is wrong no matter what damn color you are. A black teacher near Dallas has lost her job after joking about being a racist online. She's Danielle Allen. She posted on Declare Kyle on Twitter and social media. Those Twitter fingers of hers were very busy. The school district says Allen posted a lot of anti-white tweets, identifying herself as a black supremacist. She also hinted at disapproving her sister dating a white man and even joked she wanted the boyfriend of her sister to be killed. Now, she's since resigned from her job. Parents at the school where she taught shared their thoughts on the situation.
I mean, it's wrong.
That's embarrassing. No one is supreme. As a scholar, as a parent, as a father, as a black man, I want it to be known that again, that is not acceptable. That is not the standard.
Now it's time to hear from our guests on this topic. Joining me now, pastor and journalist Dr. Ruth Olison, parent Jay Bradley, and relationship strategist Princella the Queen Maker. Glad to have you all here on the Factor Uncensored. So, Princella, let's begin with you. When you hear this woman's behavior, this teacher's behavior, your thoughts on it?
Oh, I think it's definitely unacceptable, but I do believe that these pro-black people who are in this conscious community have taken things to an extreme because they're trying to go against the old paradigm of quote-unquote white supremacy. But when you start speaking these words or these word tracks of white supremacy, no matter how you flip it, you're going to see the behaviors and the actions of the past. So you have to be saying you're doing the exact same thing in your mind, and that is not acceptable.
Do you consider it real damage done to the movement, to society in general?
Absolutely, because it's rooted in a lot of falsehoods, and most of it is rooted in a lot of anger and emotionalism, where they believe that doing the exact same thing, like two wrongs make a right, but it doesn't. And so they're causing problems with their mentality. So at the end of the day, I think that her resigning was the perfect move because she was completely out of line.
Jay Bradley, as a parent, when you hear this, would you be okay with your daughter's teacher or your kid's teacher joking like this?
Not even in a joke. It's not okay. Racism is racism. It doesn't matter your color, whether it's white, black, brown, it doesn't matter at all. It doesn't belong in our school system. It doesn't belong in our society. I think this is the classic FAFO. F around and find out, right? She thought that they weren't gonna, you can't get me fired, this and that. It's not accepted anywhere. It's not acceptable, and it's not accepted.
And what do you think that mentality came from, that she thought she was untouchable?
I think it's maybe from a perspective of she was kind of using a pseudonym online and didn't think that she was going to be discovered, but I guess she found out real quick. In the unemployment line. Can you get unemployment? Can you get unemployment if you're a racist? No. Yeah, I'll see you at the bus stop.
Dr. Ruth, can you even imagine what her line of thinking was and how she thought this may have been acceptable or okay for an educator, even though she's using a pseudonym or a fake name?
Actually, I have given that some thought. I think it's a very unfortunate situation. And also, we have to look at the history of our country and racism and black people. And at some point, especially in this younger generation, they have a view. And so when you look at the country's relationship with black people in particular, when you look at our crime rate, you look at the history in which we were called 3/5 human, when you look at racial segregation, racism, the economies, all that, and it can get all compiled, and then you have a group of people who say, well, I'm supreme because I'm white. Then, at some point, maybe someone says, you know what, you're not. I'm going to be supreme. I'm supreme because I'm black, because I put up with all your crap. So I'm not saying, clearly, this is inappropriate, but you asked me if I could think about how she was thinking, and I spent some time doing that.
And Princella, how important is it to call this kind of behavior out as black people, not to just sit back and say, well, I mean, maybe she thought this, maybe she thought this, like we asked Dr. Ruth.
Right.
How important is it to call it out, Prince?
Oh, it's very important, because you can't take the same mentality that your so-called oppressors took on you, especially if you don't have the power to implement this mentality in a group that is already behind the 8 ball. That's only going to push you further behind the 8 ball, because you can't do that. There is an alternative method to raise yourself up, but fighting fire with fire is not the way to do it. So it's important to understand that we are moving into a new paradigm, and the old paradigm is dying, and so there has to be new adjusted ways to cope or even transcend the old ways, and this is not the way, and so it needs to be called out.
You can't fight racism with racism either. We are all children of God. We are all equal, and we got to respect that.
And Jay, for parents out there, if your child realize, or your children, you realize that they may have been exposed to this teacher, what would you tell them? How should you coach them out of this situation, saying your teacher was not right in this situation?
Yeah, I think that you bring up a great point, man. The sad part about this to me is that, you know, our schools need black teachers. Every kid should see a teacher that looks like them, so they can understand that they're important too, and they can be seen in that way. Maybe there's some cultural things that an African-American teacher can see with a kid that maybe wouldn't cross across racial barriers. So in this situation, I'd have my kid just come to me. You know, come to me, Dad will talk about it. Look, I'm the first dad at the school. You know, my daughter's school people, the new teachers thought I worked there. I was there so much. So we're going to have a conversation about it. We're going to figure some things out, and you're going to
Mr. Bradley, what you teaching, math in here?
Right. I'm the gym teacher. It's my socks. Look at my socks. I'm the gym teacher.
We want to thank you all for joining us here on The Factor.